Come on, girl. Good girl. Girl. I'm just going to work her a little bit. I don't even know what she's going to do. Good. 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 Look how round you're getting. Good girl. Come on, that way. Help her get round, like towards have her body form the arc of the circle that she's walking in. Okay? And do it in a relaxed manner. And if she's a little stiff, like not bending much, like on one side or the other, like what I'll do is, you see how I take the rope there, and I just put it out towards her. That'll cause her to bend and push away from that rope. So, and as opposed to just jerking them like from the head, like jerking them to try to get them to bend, you're better off putting a little pressure towards their side to where they go, ooh, let me get away from that, like that, right? And so when you're taking the rope and going like this at their rib cage, you know, when you go like this is what we call impulsion. Like this would be you just putting your leg on them, okay? And then if you reach out and touch them with it, you know, just touch their side with it, that would be the spur, okay? So think like that. So you want to do as little as possible. Sometimes just holding your hand out like this is enough for a horse to go, ooh, let me move away from that, right? And you want them to be able to bend this way and bend the other way, you know, and get it to where they're as flexible on both sides. There's going to be one side they're a lot more flexible on. And when you go to the other side, you'll see them kind of struggling. They may take their head and go like this, or they may get a little grumpy or swish their tail at you or something like that. But you want to work through it, because when you get them to bend the other way, you're stretching out all the muscles on the one side and you're building up the contraction muscles on that side. Then when you do the reverse, you're stretching out all the muscles on this side and you're building up the muscles that contract there. And they're also learning balance. They're learning to be calm, all that kind of stuff, okay? This is not, when we lunge horses or do groundwork, it's never mindless. We're always trying to connect to their mind, okay? Don't just run them in a circle or move them in a circle. Try to do something. Like here, I'm trying to get her to move off of my feel here. See how she's doing that? That's really good. And her back end was a little close to me, and so I just went like that, and I brought her out, okay? So instead of pulling on her head, I'm going to put the thing towards her ribs, see, like that. And see how she's bending. So then I'll switch directions with her. Now pay attention to feel, girl. There you go. See how nice that is? And one of the things I see a lot of people do when they're starting this kind of stuff, if you look at how I'm walking towards her, okay? Where my chest is and where my eyes are and where I'm pointing is, I didn't want to do it while she's moving. Where my eyes are, where I was pointing, is right here, okay? This is her drive line, all right? If I look and move up here, I'm going to stop the horse. If I'm back a little bit, I'm going to push the horse forward. So one of the things I see people do all the time is they don't have a feel for where their where their energy and where their focus is pointing, okay? They may, like say they may stand in front of the horse like this and wonder why it's not moving forward anymore, okay? They've gotten, I'm doing a gross exaggeration, but they get in front of the horse's driveline and they stop it, and then they wonder why it stopped, okay? Or they'll do some things like where they'll go around in a circle, and instead of walking forward towards the horse like this, they'll inadvertently step back like this, and they're stepping away from the horse. And that's a really bad idea. Horses pick up on all sorts of body language. A horse can start to think that he's moving, or he or she is moving you, okay? And that can end up in all sorts of behavioral issues. So you don't want to do that. You want to be going towards them. You want to focus on where your energy and where your focus is pointed. Like I like to imagine that there's a laser pointer coming right out of the middle of my sternum here. And if I'm looking at the camera here, and say the horse's head's there, okay? If I turn my body this way, that laser pointer is now at the horse's rear end. If I turn it this way, I'm now right at the middle. If I turn it this way, I'm up towards the front of it. See? So that little subtle thing, you kind of learn which way your shoulders are pointing and all that. Because I see people do, like they have it pointed back this way, and they can't get the horse to move. And they get frustrated, they got to use a lot more pressure and stuff like that. So it's all this has so much to do with it. So I'll show you, like here, get her going again. So what I want to do too is, another mistake that a lot of people do is, like right now I'm not in a position to get her to move. And some people they go, okay, all right, we're going to want you to send her off. And so they'll go like this. They'll move around the horse. They'll get into the position that's a good position for them to move the horse, and then they'll move the horse. You don't want to do that. What you want to do, I'll go back to where I was. Say I'm here, okay? You want to move the horse. You don't want to get into position. So say you're in a bad position, okay? You're in a bad position. So let me just move the horse. So get her in a position. So I give her direction and she goes. All right, so I got her to move. Now see where my sternum right now is pointing towards her rear end. Okay? Now see when I go, now it's pointing right at her girth here. If I were to step in front, see how that stopped her? It's all about that. I mean, it's so cool. It's actually really cool, but they're very sensitive. This horse is extremely sensitive. I have a neat story about her. This one, Kevin's recording. We were, I think it was on this side. I'm not gonna mess with her, but she had, like somewhere around here, she had a little like tuft of fur that looked up, and it looked like a burr, right? So I was picking at it, and I was picking at it, and I pulled out a little, like a thorn, sort of, but not a thorn. It was like a piece of sharp grass that had got in her a little bit. So I pulled it out. Well, then I was looking at it, and I kept looking at it and seeing if there was another one there, and I'm looking at it and looking at it. She started to move away. And then I kept trying to look at it, trying to get it. In about 10 minutes time, I called Kevin over. In about 10 minutes time, this horse was frantic. Like we thought, oh man, maybe she got stung or something. And she was worked up. I mean, really worked up. And I think she actually tried to bite Kevin. Is that right, Kev? Yeah. Tried to bite him because he was looking at it too, and she kept moving away and getting more and more frantic and more and more frantic. And we thought, oh my goodness, what is this? And my vet was coming by for looking at some other horses we had, and she was looking at it. She goes, oh my gosh, I don't know. You know, we're looking at it. Well, then I was telling Eric it the next day, and Eric goes, can you explain what you were doing? I told him what we were doing. He goes, you guys were putting all that pressure on her and not giving her any release. You know, we're staring at the spot. We're pointing at it. We're all focused. All our intentions were focused on that little spot. And she kept moving away, but we weren't giving her any release. Well, then she just kept getting worked up. and more work to. But we kept thinking there was maybe something more in there. There was nothing. It was absolutely nothing. It was just that all our focus. And so you can look, like you can look at a horse's rear end, and if you, once they start to understand you, and if you build up any sort of relationship, you can look at their rear end, and they'll go, "Oh, okay, I'm sorry," and they'll move it, right? So that's just an interesting thing. So that's how sensitive they are, and how good you can get. Now I'm not moving, so I'll give her some direction, liven her up a little bit, and move her like that. I love this exercise. It's really good. And you see how you can get so light like this, just where you're just holding like that, and then I switch hands. Come on, girl. Up. There you go. Pay attention. And then you drop your hands a little bit, right? And then we'll do this right here. We just engage the hind end. So she's doing really well. Should people subscribe? They should. Hey, smash that like button and subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Thanks for watching.